Hello, namaskar, good evening, everybody. Most of us are from the Indian subcontinent or the European subcontinent. I hope all of you are doing good, and you and your family members are being safe during this time. I know it's a very gloomy time around us. However, let us spend the next 1 hour or so trying to submerge ourselves in some sublime music and listen to some great masters of yesteryears in terms of Sarangi, which is our topic today. Before I start, um, I would like to say that if you cannot hear, you have to connect to the audio, uh, either selecting from your device. So you have audio sign on your Zoom, you have to connect to audio, otherwise you cannot hear us. And kindly also switch off your videos and mute yourselves while we have the session because of the limited bandwidth. We would like to enjoy the best music as much as possible. So this is an ardent request to you. And at the end of the session, of course, we open for questions. Then you can unmute yourself, switch on your video if you would like to, and speak. So that would be great. I mean, I'm sure my father would love to have as many questions as possible. He loves to answer questions and have interactive sessions. So another thing I would like to say is that this session will be recorded. This is just for your information and to take your permission, because I cannot record without your permission, because I will upload it on YouTube later, as I always do for all our webinar sessions. So I will start recording now. Just a moment. Now is the right kind of recording. Okay, the topic of today is the wonder that was Sarangi, revisiting some gramophone records of the great masters. Let me start by sharing my screen. Now, the webinar will be given by Rantideb Maitra. Most of you know him, and he's a music connoisseur, a music collector, and he has thousands of records of Indian classical music in his bag, and a vast body of music literature in any topic that you would like to know. So we arrange these webinars to try to learn as much as possible from him. And this is our topic today, the wonder that was Sarangi. So we dedicate this session to the great masters of Sarangi and to know more about this instrument today. Before starting, I would like to thank Mr. Ashish Bhadra. He's Ashish uncle to me. So because without him, none of our webinars would be possible, because he's the one who's all digitizing all these records and arranging them, and he's the mediator that ultimately reaches me. So thanks a lot, as always. Let's not waste more time.
Sorry.
Right.
Sorry.
No problem. Plunge right into the topic. So, Sarangi, I mean, we have many learned people with us today, many musicians. So please pardon me if I say something wrong, but this is just for also some younger members who may be here. So this is how a typical contemporary Sarangi of classical music looks like. Of course, there are many more variants, but this is just a typical version. So this is a single, this is made out of a single piece of wood, carved out of a single piece of wood, which is usually tun and is about 60 to 70 centimeters in length. And this is a bowing instrument. This is a bow which produces this beautiful melody, which is also about the same length. And the bow is made of stallion hair, and it has three parts: the pate, which is the sound box, which has a goat skin parchment on it, then the chhati and the magaj, and it has three main gut strings and 35 sympathetic strings. This instrument became popular in the late 1850s in a particular belt in the north of India. So I hope to learn, or we hope to learn more about this region or the history of Sarangi eventually. But this is just to give a bird's eye view. So thank you, Baba, for enlightening us today. So my first question to you would be the topic itself. So you suggested this topic of the wonder that was Sarangi. So why do you say was?
Actually, by and large, this Sarangi was perceived as a dying art by musicians, researchers, and also some of us, the concert goers of today. You see, in our childhood, in our adolescent period, we always associated Sarangi with some modeling tunes, which is played 24 into 7 or 24 into 3 days by the All India Radio whenever some VIPs died in India. Thereafter, reading literature and seeing some of the films at that time, we always thought that Sarangi was a distributable, it has distributable associations with Baijis, etc. And also, we saw that Sarangi played a second fiddle to the main musician, the vocalist. Hardly we saw a solo performer performing in Sarangi. There are exceptions, but they are so few that it's negligible. But these all, change in one flash. Uh, that was Bundu Khan. The first time I heard Bundu Khan, the entire perception changed. I mean, it was ethereal music. It was one of the greatest pieces of music I could ever, I heard at that point of time. And then the search for other artists began. This is as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. So as we see the topic of the webinar, this search must have been really fruitful and must have formed the basis of today's session.
Yes, yes, yes. Although I've tried to limit this period one decade, that is 1930s, which I consider the best period of recorded music for Sarangi. This is the period of today, 1930s, 1931 to 1940, 41, like that. And I would also like to, um, thank a lot of people. The Sunny Matthews, he's from the Record Museum, Kottayam, and Dr. Suresh Chandwarkar. These two are my friends. They are equally mad as I am. You know, procuring records, procuring information about old gramophone records no one cares about. Then, because from them, I got one particular record, which is the Puriya of Habib Khan Aladia Khan. Then the Joe Bore, the book Joe Bore wrote, that is The Voice of Sarangi, which is an excellent book, source book for a lot of information which I'll be sharing today. And then there was Mr. Kiran Naiga, who was always, feeding me with pictures and all lot of AIR clippings, which helped me. So I also wanted to say these things before you start the actual music session.
Of course. Yeah, I'm indebted to many people, I think, that led to this session.
Yes. Yeah.
So today we have 11 records to play. So yeah, on schedule, and let's start right away with the first record of today. That is from Chote Khan, Basantala. Would you like to have some water before, Baba? I think you have having a problem with the throat.
It's okay. I'm having tea. Okay. Thank you.
Let's start with Rag Basantala.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful rendering of the Rag Basant, and especially at least in Europe, it's spring now, so this brings in uh, a wonderful atmosphere to begin with Rag Basant today. What evocative use of the two madhyams. So, Baba, you have to unmute yourself again. I muted you because you had problems with your throat. Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm just curious to know. I mean, it's an amazingly beautiful rendition, but why did you choose Chote Khan as the first item?
Uh, it is it is my respect to the first family of solo sarangi players. That is the family of Mamman Khan, whose disciples were the two brothers Bundu Khan and Chote Khan. Chote Khan was the younger brother of Bundu Khan, the name which is revered by everybody. Chote Khan, in fact, initially was in the courts of Alwar. Then he moved to Calcutta, where he stayed for 15 years. Then he moved from Calcutta to Indore, settled there in 1945-46. But during that period, he made a name for himself as a soloist in Calcutta. There had been reports that he played a duet with Inayat Khan Saab, the sitar and Sarangi duet. He also taught a lot of people, including our Tappa singer, Ram Kumar Chattopadhyay, then Chinmoy Lahiri, then also Nandalal, a Sarangi player from, not Sarangi player, is a Shehnai player, in fact, from Benares. And also Dakshmina Mohan Thakur was a very, very famous Tashanai player. But that was one of the reason, because he belonged to the same clan, the Bundu Khan, his younger brother. So I just started with Chote Khan.
I see. No. I think someone has to be muted. I'm sorry. I'm stopping sharing the screen. And you have to unmute yourself again, Baba. I'm sorry, because some people entered and I think they're not muted. So please unmute yourself again.
Okay.
Request everybody to please mute yourselves while we speak, to disrupt the webinar. So coming back to Chote Khan, so surely, I mean, what you said and what we've heard, I'm sure all of us agree that he deserves to be known much more than he is, perhaps. So let's move on to our next artist. So our next artist is Hamid Hussain, and in this regard, he is much more well known, at least to us, because we have played his recordings in our webinars before as well. So, Rag Pancham. Let's listen to Hamid Hussain. Spellbound again. You have to unmute yourself again, Baba. I'm muting you during the musics to hear it better. So this rag pancham is also a spring raga, isn't it? Less heard, I think. You are not you have to unmute yourself. Sorry, we can't hear you. Yeah.
Okay. This Pancham indeed is not recorded. It's more of a Dhrupad raga than a Khayal raga. And interestingly, this Pancham was in great demand by lot of cognoscenti, the Dhrupadiyas in Calcutta. Two of them used to come to my flat regularly to listen to this particular record. One of them was posted in Paris in UNESCO, and he had heard about this Pancham from Alain Denelu, the another musicologist. So that really attracted my attention, more attention for this particular pancham, which was played by Hamid Hussain Khan. He belongs to Muradabad, the place which produced a lot of great stars like Chajju Khan, Nazir Khan, Aman Ali, famous for Vendi Bajar Gharana, then Shamir Khan, Amir Khan's father, and then he relocated himself to a lot of places, Rampur, then Kolkata, then Bombay. Then after partition, he went to Dhaka. He also toured Europe as a soloist in 1940. So the checkered career. And he was more well known later on because he became Roshanara Begum's constant companion, Sarangi companion.
See.
So this is more about Hamid Hussain. It's a great soloist also.
Yeah, that's very interesting to know actually. Actually, in this regard, uh, I mean, I think it said that very small radius, about a few hundred miles, in the north of India gave birth to the most greats in this instrument, isn't it? In the region around Panipat, I think. But you can say this much better. Would you like to say something?
Yeah, that region in and around Delhi, Panipat, Sonipat, Alwar, Jhajhar, Jhind, Kirana. That's the area where most of these artists came from, and those will be the bulk of today's performances also, excepting of course two which are from Benares.
Hmm.
Yes.
So then we start with our next two artists who are from Panipat, correct? So
Okay.
our next artist is actually Khalifa Badal Khan. Let me share my screen again. We will listen to Khalifa Badal Khan. Now, he is also an iconic figure. If I remember correctly, you said that this record was recorded when he was 100 years old.
That is yes. That is what is known to us. That he recorded in 1935 when he was 101-year old. So he was born in 1834. Of course, we go by anecdotes, maybe history also.
Yeah. So let's listen to him, Rag Subrai. So we just listened to a very historical recording from a historic Somebody is unmuted again. Baba, you have to unmute yourself again. Sorry, because I'm unmuted.
But yeah, I'm unmuted. Yes.
Great. Thanks. So, yeah, I was just saying that we just listened to a historical recording from an historic or iconic figure. So, I think our next item in this regard is interestingly not a gramophone recording, but a picture, which I'm just going to show you in a few seconds.
Before that, Chandri, I mean, can I say something about this Badal Khan? Because he and his guru was the first, classical modern Sarangi ustads. So, if I can say something more on Badal Khan, he's a historical figure. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, of course.
Yeah. So, Badal Khan actually belonged to this Panipat, the first classical modern Sarangi uh, was played by his guru Haidar Khan. He was the original Khalifa of Panipat, the place from where this modern classical Sarangi originated from. He was employed by Bahadur Khan Zafar, 1830s, 1840s, like that. During that period, it is said that Badal Khan was sentenced to death during Sepoy Mutiny. Then he escaped to Calcutta, early part of 19th, 20th century. Then thereafter he stayed in Calcutta, trained a lot of people, amongst them Girija Shankar Chakraborty, Vishwadev Chatterjee, and some others also. So it's a very checkered history, and he was also the maternal uncle of Abdul Karim Khan. So this is an additional information I thought that I share. So please carry on. Yes.
Yeah, no, this is a very important piece of information for us. Yeah, this adds more to this context that it's a historical recording and a very important person that we should know more about but is lost. So, dwelling more on this history perspective of the great masters of Sarangi. So, the next image that we have here that you see is called Ravana Hasta. It's from the Jaipur School of Painting from the 18th century. So, Baba, please, we are waiting for your comments.
Okay, this actually a lot of people used to say that Sarangi was called Ravan Hastavina. It comes from the demon Ravan, who was also a great musicologist, and it was created by him to appease Shiva, who also created one form of Sarangi, which is the Pinak. So these are all mythology and topic for epics like Ramayana. But about the history, we get the first I think, mentioned in Jaina literature in 11th century. Thereafter, lot of Sarangi came up during the medieval literature. Surdas had mentioned Sarangi. Then it was also associated with the Bhakti movement during 16th century. But definitely it flourished during Akbar's regime. And the modern classical Sarangi, which we just mentioned, originated, people say, from Haidar Khan, who was the guru of Badal Khan.
I see.
So
So,
this is very short sketch. Yes.
yeah, I think this is a topic, it's a very vast topic and a topic in itself for social anthropologists, I think, yeah. But still, this provides us at least with a lot of information. We are in the Panipat zone now. So, the next artist from Panipat is Khan, Zira Khan. Let's go to his record label and we will listen to Rag Lalit. What beautiful meets. Yeah, I mean, I think this is also a prime example that shows that Sarangi comes the closest that it can be to the most perfect instrument, that is the human voice. And I think throughout this session until now, we listened to three ragas with the use of the two madhyams. We listened to Basant and then Pancham and now Lalit. And yeah, the two madhyams and the gliding between the notes comes out so beautifully in a sarangi. Yeah, now I'm even more convinced. So, Baba, would you like to say something more about this great artist?
Unfortunately, I can't say anything else. He's totally forgotten, like so many other artists. So he's just a symbolic presence that I just presented a totally forgotten artist by the name of Khan Zire Khan of Panipat. He belongs to the old school, definitely. And he was a great artist, but nothing else is known about him.
That is really unfortunate. I mean, do you think neglect, I would say this is a neglect. This could be attributed to performers belonging to a, I don't know, the lower rung of the society or towards the courtesans who employed them mainly, and also the vanishing memory of the courtesans themselves. Could this be?
Yes, yes, definitely. This is true. I mean, the reasons are like that. Some other reasons, too. But these are the principal reasons that. But we must also not forget that these lower rung society musicians, by the name of Sarangi players, they were the principal messengers of music during our Bhakti movement period, that is the 15th and 16th century. All the devotional religious songs were, sung by them, played by them, and they were real messengers who spread the message of equality of all classes during Bhakti movement. So we must also remember this fact.
Very interesting point raised. So also Drupad, I mean,
Yes, also Drupad. Lot of people attribute, the spread of Drupad to these you know this lowly employed musicians, the sarangi players. Yes, they used to sing through us also.
Yeah, this is really wonderful to know, actually. Yeah, this is very informative. So we must move on. And in regards to our next item, again, we have actually again an image or a picture instead of a gramophone record. So this is from the Victoria Albert Museum, London, 1820, termed as the Fairy and Fiddlers by my father. So please explain. Go ahead.
No, actually that caption I've borrowed from Joe Bo's book. You know, the fairies and the fiddler. Fairies, of course, are the wives. Fiddlers were the sarangi player, and we could say that they always played second fiddle to the wives. Uh, so this parable, the next two records were chosen as a parable to what happened to this fairy and the fiddler class who ultimately vanished or banished from our memory. So let us, have the first part.
Okay. So Puriya Dhanasri by Shamsha. So I stopped this abruptly.
I-
Purpose.
Yeah, the entire song, of course, is not kept in deference to the Nayak of today's program, that is the Sarangi. In fact, the famous poet Zafar Khan, who was the poet during Shah Jahan's time, mentioned Sarangi that Sarangi is always jealous of other instruments if they are adored. So we have to keep the sentiment of Sarangi, at least for today's session. So we had to stop it at abruptly because today is. But again, she was a fairy of our parable,
Yes.
Shamshar by of Delhi.
So I have heard her recordings, of course, at home. So wasn't she the one who was the head of the Tawaif Society in Delhi, I think, and then later moved to Bombay for married social life?
Yes, yes, yes. In fact, she is a representative of many such wives who moved from the singing profession to other professions. Maybe they became society ladies also. And this was the period 1930s and 40s. And she, also according to Dilip Chand Bedi, a very famous musician, was responsible to force at least two great Sarangiyas to change their profession. One such was Habib Khan, and that would be our next record, maybe Habib Khan.
That's right. We have Habib Khan on next and Farag Puria. Let's listen to him.
म्हणून बोललो बस कटलं आपोआप म्हटलं वो सब ऐसे एक जगह जमने को
I think
Yes, because I
somebody is unmuted, I suppose. Yeah.
yes, I think I keep unmuting all the participants because that's the default setting. But if someone mutes on his or her own, I can't do anything. So
Okay.
I please request all of you, especially during the music, please don't unmute. Then the others lose the flavor of the music. This is an ardent request to you, please. Um, yeah, we just listened to Puriya Gat, yeah, the Sarangi Gat in Rag Puriya by this great artist Habib Khan. What a wonderful rendition of Puriya. So, what is more interesting is in the background, of course, we see the record label with the Sarangi Rag Puriya, but we also have another image of him playing the Vichitra Veena, I think. So, he played both, or how is it?
Yes, indeed. He played Bichitra Veena and Sarangi both. There are evidences that he was playing both in All India Radio New Delhi during 1930s. But to come back to the story of the fairy and the fiddler, you see, he and his elder brother Abdul Aziz Khan were great Sarangi players in the beginning of the century, and their guru and father was the redoubtable Alladia Khan Bittuwala from Jind, which is in Haryana. He was considered the leading exponent of Sarangi during his time. Now, this Abdul Aziz Khan used to accompany his Guru Bahin, Shamshar Bai, whose record we just played in Puriya Dhanestri. And during one such session, a serious quarrel broke out between Shamshar Bai and Abdul Aziz. And then and there, it is said by Dilip Chand Bedi, I mean, I'm just quoting him, that he just abandoned the Sarangi then and there and went on to become the greatest Vichitravin player of the last century. This is Abdul Aziz Khan. His brother is Habib Khan. He's also called Habib Khan Aladia Khan in some of his records. Continued to play both, but ultimately he also abandoned Sarangi in favor of Vichitravina. This is about the fading out of the fiddler, which is the Sarangi player. The fairy was Shamshar Bai, the fiddler was the Sarangi player who faded out to other disciplines. Similar things happened, I'm told, for Abdul Karim Khan and Bari Ghulam Ali Khan also. There are similar stories of their just abandoning Sarangi and going for the vocal profession for the benefit of mankind, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, could say that. But so then this really is this fade out story or fading out story of the fairies and the fiddlers, right? So
Yes.
yeah, so our next artist is actually Khadim Hussain, as you said. So Rag Din Ki Puriya. Yes. So before beginning to listen to him, of course, play, let's look briefly at this image before us. So this is also a very historical, of course, photograph. So I think on the left here we have Aladia Khan Mittuwala. Please correct me, Baba, if I'm wrong.
Yes, 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 yes. The person playing the Sarangi is Aladia Khan Bittuwala to the left. Yes,
Their teacher, and here we have, I think, Khadim Hussain. No, here we have
yes,
Hussain. Yeah, who we will listen to, and here we have Habib.
yes. Habib Khan is in the middle, and the Khadim Hussain is extreme right. The Khadim Hussain Khan, the Sarangi, whose Sarangi would be playing now. Yes.
See my mouse here. Yes. Okay. Let's listen to him. Oh, I'm sorry. Just a moment. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There was some problem with my laptop. Yeah, what a beautiful rendition again, and what beautiful meets. We had to listen to him a bit longer, but I would say that's a privilege to me at least that there was some interruption, and we heard for him a bit longer. But sorry, anyway. I would just check if somebody else is unmuted again, just by chance. And Baba, you have to unmute yourself again when I do that. No, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you again. Now, sorry.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
I think everybody else is unmuted again, and we can move on actually. So, it's time to move on a bit southwards in terms of region now, and we move to Benares now. And in this respect, our next artist is Gauri Shankar Mishra. Let me share my screen. Yes. So let's listen to Gauri Shankar Mishra's Thumri Dadra. Wonderful. Would you like to say something about him?
Yeah, actually, this Gauri Shankar Mishra is a historic figure. He belonged to a very respected Kathak family of Benares. The Kathak family is famous for, teaching music. They are all rounders in music. And majority of the Sarangi players in and around Benares, that is Benares, Lucknow, Jaunpur, they all belong to this more socially acceptable Kathak family. As against, of course, the Mirashis, which we played earlier, the North Indian. Now, these they specialize in mostly in Tappa, Thungri, Kajri, Chaiti, but Gauri Shankar Mishra was also a great vocalist and a composer. And we have not given much credit to their family, the family of Budhu Mishra. Budhu Mishra actually produced the greatest number of musicians, I suppose, this particular family. For example, Budhu Mishra's, there are two sons, Bechu Mishra and Thakur Prasad Mishra. Now, Bechu Mishra was guru of Gaharjan, and then Bechu Mishra's son is Gauri Shankar Mishra, and Gauri Shankar Mishra had several pupils, there is Kiran Mai, there is Krishna Bhamini, there are so many, including his Sarangi players, Chamu Mishra, and so on. And then the Thakur Prasad family, who stayed on in Benares because this Bechu Mishra family came to Calcutta. The other branch was Thakur Prasad Mishra. They produced the greats like Husna Jan, then Chote Ramdas ji, down to Siaji Maharaj, Shambhu Maharaj, Gopal Mishra, Siddheshwari, Kashibai, all those, those are the other branch of the same tree, that is the tree of Budhu Mishra. They produced the greatest number of musicians I know of, I mean, the same family. So we have not given proper credit to that. So it's just, this Gauri Shankar Mishra's a Thungri record, which was this solitary record of his done. Of course, he had some vocal recordings earlier, but for Thungri, it is his only record.
Right.
So this is about, yeah.
Yeah. Continuing to what you just said, so this is the greatest, one of the greatest music families. I think from this famous Kathak family, people also branched out to all possible disciplines of music, right? Like sitar, tabla, or vocal.
Yes, yes. Actually, I don't know of any other family in India like this family. You see, there were sitar players like Pashupati Mishra. There are Dhrupad singers like Shiva Pashupati. Then the tabla player like Maulavi Ram, and then this Lakshminaran Mishra, the famous Binkar and Drupadiya, Ram Kumar Mishra, Drupadiya and Binkar. So but it's an amazing family. They branched out in all possible, including Pakhawaj. They branched out in every possible direction of music, and they were all great performers.
Amazing.
So yes, you are right that this family indeed have to be remembered separately.
Amazing. So actually, we are continuing in this regard because the next artist is Chamu Mishra, I think, who is the nephew of Gauri Shankar Mishra, as you just mentioned. And I think, unfortunately, he died only at the age of 26.
Yes,
Is it?
that's right. Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
So let's listen to him, Rag Mia Kitori. Yeah, mesmerizing. Would you like to say something more about him?
Yes, after his death, actually, Gauri Shankar Mishra also was heartbroken and he passed away because he invested all his music knowledge in terms of sarangi playing to his nephew, was such a talented person, Chamu Mishra. And upon his untimely death, he just retired and passed away. This is the end of Gauri Shankar Mishra also, the end of Chamu Mishra. That's a glorious chapter, sarangi playing. This is on one side. Now, the other side, of course, today I didn't touch upon the other side, which had produced a great Sarigi players like Gopal Mishra. But again, it's this. Uh, I didn't have any particular 17 record of that period of Gopal Mishra. Otherwise, definitely I would have played Gopal Mishra also. So we can now move to the next artist if you like.
Yes. Okay, so the next artist is Abdul Majid Khan. He was the famous accompanist of Kesar Bai Kerkar. So he was also a soloist, isn't it?
Yes, both this Gauri Shankar Mishra and Abdul Majid Khan, they were also great accompanists and soloists. For example, this Gauri Shankar Mishra was the principal accompanist of Gaharjan, and he accompanied Gaharjan during the coronation darbar of George VI in 1911, and most of her recordings also. And similarly, you see, this Abdul Majid Khan is famous for accompanying Kesar Bhai Kerkar, but people also forget that he was a great soloist. So we will be playing a solo Sarangi of Abdul Majid Khan today.
So some of the rejection of the sarangi plays by the leading vocalists as an accompanying instrument in favor of harmonium is also led to the decline, right?
Oh, most certainly, yes. Many persons, including Anand Kumar Swami, Rabindranath Tagore, they repeatedly spoke against the use of harmonium for our ragas and raginis. But ultimately, you see, this commercial interest took over and the ease of operations. You see, it's so difficult to tune a Sarangi instrument properly. So the ease of operations of harmonium tilt the scale in favor of harmonium. But that's another story which can wait some other day. But yeah, this is an interesting letter. Yeah, you want to tell me?
Yeah, I just wanted to share a snapshot that you sent me actually from a letter written by none other than Rabindranath Tagore. It's dated January 19th, 1940 to the All India Radio. It might be of interest to some people. Yes. So let's move on actually to our next item, as you rightly said. So Abdul Majid Khan. We will play. This record has both Rag Durga and Bhupali, but we will only listen to Rag Durga. Rag Durga. What a beautiful rendition. So, would you like to provide us some more information on?
Yes, such a brilliant soloist. I can only say that it is the same story that he was fed up of just playing the second fiddle to Kesarbai Ustads like Kesarbai or Faiz Khan or Omkarnath Thakur. All of them were fond of his playing. But he was such a brilliant soloist also. We could listen to that. He was also from Haryana, the Jhajjar district, and was the Shishya of Bundu Khan. He also learned some vocal music from Aladia Khan. But he made sure that his two sons, this the popular Khan Bandhu, they were not into sarangi. They trained them to be vocalists. They did. He never wanted his sons to play second fiddle to other artists. So it is the same story of transition from the being a second fiddler to the principal artist with
Yeah,
him also.
sad story indeed, actually, but very valuable information for us indeed. I mean, I have learned so much today. I mean, both about this great instrument and the great masters who mastered this instrument. We are, yeah, towards the end of the session today, and it's customary, of course, to end with Rag Bhairavi. And in that regard, very fittingly, we have the last but not the least item by none other than the legend Bundu Khan, Rag Bhairavi. Let me share my screen again. Let's listen to him and enjoy. Mesmerizing. I'm just mesmerizing. One of the best renditions of Bhairavi I have heard.
I think you should be in a very, very good company. A lot of people might tend to agree with you.
Yes, I'm sure about that. Yeah, with this, we come to an end of our webinar of today. And uh, thanks a lot, Baba, for enlightening us. And thanks to all the participants for having showed so much interest and having taken your time out to come here and attend this and listen to us. So yeah, we are open now for questions, or rather, my father is open now for questions. So please go ahead. You can raise your hands, and yeah, you can unmute yourself, put on your video. That would be also nice, and ask your questions. And I would just like to check once with Mr. Prantik Gupta, and I would like to thank him for having streamed this live on Facebook via Taki Online. So thanks a lot.
It's my pleasure. Yeah, it's our pleasure at Taki Online.
I hope it worked in the end. I'm sorry I couldn't look at it.
Everything's fine. Everything's good.
Okay.
Everything's good. Yeah. So no. So thank you very much for that. That was very very enlightening and very engaging. So I'd like to thank you and Rantideb Maitra for that, and certainly going to sort of enjoy that going forward for the sake of posterity. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks a lot. So do we have questions in general from anyone who would like to ask anything? Maybe in the chat also we have some questions, but we have a hand raised from Mitul. Would you like to unmute and say something, or is that by chance your hand is raised? Uh, I think not. If in the chat, I think there are many questions, but I will take some time to listen to it. I mean, I had a question for you. Meanwhile, actually, while I was listening to this, because this session was dedicated to the solo performances of the great Sarangi masters, right? So, of course, we listened to mainly Khyas and one Thumri in this regard. But so, in terms of accompaniment, it was all forms of music, right? Also Drupad and Khyal and Thumris. That Sarangi accompanied now, which has been replaced by harmonium. Somebody,
Somebody's singing or humming something. Yeah,
yes,
I couldn't decipher the raga, but it could be a nice one. Yeah, if he sings in the full voice.
yeah. So what do you say, Baba? I just had this general question. So what accompanying, because we concentrated more on solo Sarangi today. So
Yes, definitely. Because you see, this the Mamman Khan. We didn't dwell much on the biography of this Bundu Khan. I think everybody knows everything about Bundu Khan. He's such a famous person. But Bundu Khan was Guru was Mamman Khan, who created a larger sarangi with 50 sympathetic strings, which is called Sursagar, which was suitable for more serious type of Drupad and other things. And it is said that he knew a lot of Drupad and he played Drupad compositions in his Tur Sagar, which was created by Mamman Khan. It is also said that this Tur Sagar was also played sometime by Gauri Shankar Mishra, but we'll not go into that. Then there was report that this Mamman Khan used to accompany Allah Bande Khan, the great Allah Bande Khan, Drupadiya. Then and also Bunduka had accompanied a lot of Drupadiyas during his time. So it is as an accompanying instrument, yes, Sarangi had accompanied Drupad, but as a solo Drupad instrument, I think only Mamman Khan, which is that larger Sarangi, Sur Sagar, had played Drupad from time to time. I think it was in New Delhi conference in 1911, if I'm not wrong. He played Drupad in Sur Sagar, Mamman Khan.
okay, interesting to know. Actually, I just ran across a question in the chat list from Mr. J. Pandey. So Bundu Khan went away to Karachi in 1954. Did his brother stay on in India?
Yes, yes, yes. In fact, he went to Karachi much before that. He died there in 1954, if I'm not mistaken. He went to Karachi just after partition. He wanted to bring back his family to India, but he was prevented from coming back due to some technical snags, and he lived on in Pakistan. And he made some gramophone records also in Pakistan, some vocal records. His son, Umrao Bundu Khan, also stayed on in Pakistan. So but that's when he was quite old. He moved to Pakistan. Yes, Bundu Khan did move to Pakistan.
Okay. There is a question from Mr. Oniban. Please go ahead. You are muted. You have to unmute. Can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Good evening and thank you. Superb Sunday evening to both of you. Rantideb, it would be wonderful if we can track the year of recordings so that we can also track the change of style in rendering and the change in technology. We, as you went ahead, we found the recordings were clearer and naturally it's better. The second one, the second question
okay, I'll just reply to this, then I'll take your second question. I said in the beginning that all the records are from the period 1930 to 40. The reason some of the records were clearer because of the condition of the records. All these records are procured on the second hand. So some of the records were good, which played better. Some of them were worn out, which didn't play so good. So, but all the records were from 1931 to 1936, 37, which I said in the beginning. I've limited myself to that decade. So, and the minor details about 1932, 34, of course, that could also be given. Yes, the point is taken on it. Please, to the second question.
Second one is with regards to the Rabindranath letter to Akashvani or something like that. Can you please elaborate on that? With reference to the context.
Yes. Rabindranath was very, yes, and this letter actually did the trick. Akashvani did suspend Sarangi from their, not Sarangi, sorry, did suspend harmonium after this letter, and it allowed harmonium to be played only in 1970 or so. So for 30 long years, harmonium was not allowed in Akashvani. Yeah. And this is because of this letter of Rabindranath.
Very interesting, Rantideb. Thank you very much.
There's a question from Mr. Siddharth Garud. Please go ahead.
Okay, namaskar. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, I would like to thank you again for hosting such a wonderful and rare event. And I have a very small doubt actually. I am a very young student of music, so all the Sarangi records which I have heard of the old musicians, were mostly of Bandhu Khan Sahab. And on YouTube, I find that Umrao Khan Sahab has actually played the Sarangi, and vocals has been of late Bandhu Khan Sahab. So I don't know which one to trust. Could you shed some light on this?
Yes, Umrao Bandhu Khan was principally a vocalist. He was a student of Chand Khan of Delhi, but he also was taught Sarangi, and he played Sarangi rather well. I mean, not in the standard of his father, but this Umrao Bandhu Khan is more of a vocalist than a Sarangi player. Let's put it this way. And his Sarangi records are also available, and vocal records are also available. But this senior Bandhu Khan was an out-and-out Sarangi player, and his vocal music is not nothing much to talk about. So he just maybe he sometimes demonstrated this some ragas, but it should not be recorded or should not be played because most of his vocal recordings are about very old age. But Umrao Bandhu Khan was a vocalist, full time. His son, Umrao Bandhu Khan. Does it answer your question?